Something to drink?
Shooting star, please.
What happens when one ad becomes a dozen outputs? Nobody warns you about the scale version of this problem. With one video, you can brute force product accuracy. With a full deliverable set, you cannot. Because one ad is never one video anymore. It is a master, two halves, cut downs for every placement, verticals, stills. So here is the real question for anyone producing at volume. How to keep a product consistent in AI ads when the ad is a dozen outputs. How does the drift arrive? The master looks perfect. Then the cut downs start. In one, the can sits a touch wider. In a vertical, the navy reads brighter. In another, the text on the back panel has quietly scrambled into almost words. Any single error is small. Across a deliverable set, running side by side across placements, it reads as a brand that does not check its own work. And audiences see the outputs next to each other, which means they see the differences before you do. Why does it happen? Models generate a shot at a time, and every generation starts over from zero. The model retains nothing of your project. The model does not know that this cut down and that vertical are the same campaign, because it does not remember either of them. Every output redraws the product from scratch. Product consistency is the name for that, and at output scale, it breaks everywhere at once. Can you hold it together by hand? The manual version of the fix does not scale, and I tried. Reattach the right references for every output, every generation, every time. Paste the spec into each instruction and pray you grabbed the current version. Generate extras, pick the closest. Then review every deliverable against the spec, one by one, before anything ships to a placement. That is you being the memory of not one video, but the entire deliverable set. The job grows full-time with every format the media plan adds. Invideo agent makes product consistency structural, and the mechanism is context, the project's memory. The project starts with the product, not with prompts. Everything goes in once: references, the spec, the details that make the product. From then on, every generation, in every output, is built against the lock and checked against the lock. What makes that a system? 3 things. First, Invideo agent remembers. Across outputs, the lock is one lock. The master, the cut downs, and the verticals all build against it. Come back weeks later, and the project still knows the product. How does the lock reach each output? Invideo agent carries it into every generation itself. My direction stays about the output. The vertical cut of the tray table moment. The agent pulls the product's sheet from context, writes the full instruction underneath mine, picks the model. I never reattach anything, because the current lock is the only lock. What happens before an output ships? Invideo agent audits its own output. Every generation gets measured against the lock before I see it. In my deliverable run, one cut down came back with the back panel text scrambled. Exactly the detail that dies quietly until a viewer pauses the frame. Invideo agent flagged it against the lock, said what drifted, and regenerated it before it reached a placement. Here is the lesson at scale. Newer models drift less, but only a remembering project makes consistency a property of the system instead of a task on your list. Product consistency is a workflow answer, not a model answer, and a deliverable set is the proof. What did this hold up against? An energy drink commercial produced in Invideo agent as a full set? A 30-second master from 2 15-second halves, cabin and space? Then the outputs cut from it. The product went into context once. The slim can, the navy matte, the gold comet, the complete label artwork. Every output built against that single lock. The catch. The scrambled back panel. Caught by the agent. Not by a viewer. The scale test. A second wave of deliverables weeks later. New outputs, new placements, zero reset up, because the lock was already the project. Not one output shipped with a different can. So here is the system for how to keep a product consistent in AI ads. Product consistency was never about better prompts. Generation keeps no memory of your project. And at output scale, no human memory is big enough to stand in. Invideo agent deletes that root cause. Context holds the product. Every output builds against the one lock, and every generation is checked before it ships to a placement. You run the deliverables. The project remembers the product. And it genuinely works at this scale, which is the only scale modern media plans care about. Every output matches every other output, wave after wave. That is how to keep a product consistent in AI ads. Put your next campaign into it at invideo.io.